Well, good afternoon. I'm John Warren, the Director of Admissions and Tuition Assistance here at Columbus Academy. It's very nice to have you here for our third in our Zoom at Noon series. Today, we're talking about college counseling here at Columbus Academy. We're joined by Darnell Heywood, our Director of College Counseling. She has two sons, one who graduated last year and is up at Carleton College. And her younger son is a junior here, has a big week this week, I understand.
Yes, he does.
We can talk about that in just a minute. But how long have you been here?
This is my 14th year.
14th year. And we're also joined by Jen FitzPatrick, Associate Director of College Counseling. And Jen has a daughter, Molly, who is a ninth grader, big upper schooler now. And
Hard to believe.
how long have you been here?
This is my 10th year.
10th year. So anyway, they've got a nice presentation. We encourage all sorts of questions in the chat. We have Nancy Velasquez behind the scenes, and she will be curating our questions. So please answer or ask any questions that you need answers to. In addition, there will be a poll that we'll be putting up asking just a couple of questions, one question, trying to find out what is the most interesting thing about Columbus Academy for you and your family. So we appreciate you filling that out. And
Great.
Ladies.
Thanks, John. And when John mentioned we have a big week in our family for our son, Charlie, he's giving his junior speech this week. And as some of you may know, that's a huge rite of passage at Columbus Academy. And our first slide here with photos shows another big rite of passage at Columbus Academy. We have a senior kindergarten buddy program, which you may or may not have heard about. And we love these photos. And we look at them often for our seniors because as we approach the college process with them, we'd like to see the child in every one of our seniors and think that not that long ago, they were beginning kindergarten somewhere and they're looking at this point, some of them to run ahead like that little boy at the bottom, to race into his future. Some people need people to hold their hands, like the photo up at the top. And then one of my favorite photos is the little boy who at the end of the day was exhausted. And so his senior buddy was looking at him, and then the senior decided, I think he just wants to sit quietly and needs someone to sit beside me. So when we look at this, this is something that we think about when we approach college counseling. So what we do at Columbus Academy, we just want to tell you college counseling is really a place of joy in our school. We have an office of 3 college counselors and terrific administrative support, and we love kids. We love being the office that shepherds Columbus Academy students from their high school experience to the college experience. And we think of that as our office as kind of an in-between place as we sort of give them the confidence and the sort of pack them with some of that adult knowledge as they go out and present themselves in the world to colleges and universities, and then ultimately transition to them. Our process is very focused on the individual child and what their needs are. And we also see our process is every year dealing with kids of all different maturity ages. So the way we like to talk about it is, although everyone in the class is probably 17 or 18, we have some of the kids who are sort of operate more like 23 years old and some who are more like 13 years old. And it's our job to really notice where kids are in their growth and development and help them find appropriate matches for college. And we're going to talk to you a little bit today about some of the different roles that we play in college counseling here. And I'm going to turn it over to Jen to talk a little bit about that.
So Darnell's talked a little bit about the process being child-centered. And what's so fun for us is we're both teachers here at the school with the process, but we're also national experts in college admissions. And part of our job is to really not just know the landscape, but be a part of the conversations that are changing and shaping that landscape. These are some of the things that we've learned, and I'm not going to read every single bullet on this screen, but a big question that we get is, why don't we start this in the freshman year? It doesn't start in the freshman year. We have meetings with students. We're going to show you a little bit about the process later. But at our school, it's not so much starting earlier is always better. We think there's really a 14-month limit to this process where students can do it well and not be overwhelmed. And we take great pride in the fact that when we start with them, they are peaking at the right time in the fall of the senior year. They're writing their best essays. They're putting their best foot forward in the application process and an interview process. But this is already a college going culture. So we don't need to talk to kids in the 9th grade about how to, or if you want to go to college. Everybody here is here with the intention of going on to a 4-year college. You'll see some numbers about the ratio here. Every child has extraordinary access to a college counselor. We see some of these kids more than we see our own relatives, and we get to know them in ways that's really unbelievable. We want to show you and talk to you a little bit about the things that are going on in the national landscape of college admissions. Obviously, COVID has affected some things, but we want to know about the business of college admissions. And so some of the things at the bottom are the emphasis on what the colleges have to do. And that's really at the direction of their board. So you may see some schools where it seems like, oh my goodness, there's a large number of athletic recruits, or this school wants a large number of first generation students. And that's our job, to stay on top of those trends and to know how to advise our students. A little bit more about this topic. Oops, I've got to get rid of the poll, sorry. Oops, there we go. Well, the biggest topic I think right now, and what COVID has affected the most, is the world of college admissions testing. And so you'll hear a lot about, oh, schools are test optional now. You don't really need to worry about that. And I think that was true a year ago, but what we're forecasting and what we're seeing come to fruition is something we talked about in our office about a year ago. The testing game is going to ramp back up, and the importance of AP exams. And we're really proud at our school. This is a small school, as you probably know by now. We have anywhere between 105, 112 seniors. These students last year took 500 advanced placement exams, and we think those are going to play a larger role, and they did extraordinarily well. I think those are going to play a larger role in the college admissions process. Some of the other things you see here, the calendar shifting. So if you're a parent out there and you applied via paper and pencil and you sent an application and put a stamp in the mail and you applied to 2 colleges, the game has really changed. And again, some of those trends, that's our job, to stay on top of things like early decision and early action. Today's November 8th, and every single senior at Columbus Academy has already applied to at least 1 college. Another big trend we see, and I think it's an interesting one to talk about, the most popular majors, you see them listed at the bottom of the screen here, not just for boys, but also girls, males and females. That's something that we talk a lot about with our seniors and how it affects their college application process. But these are just a few things that we thought would be fun to let you know in the national landscape of college admissions. And now Darnell is going to talk a little bit more about the child.
Yes. So, as you said, we're trend spotters. We watch what's going on in college admissions, but we watch what's going on in the lives of kids. And I don't know if any of you had seen the CBS Sunday morning report this fall about the extreme pressure that kids are under to achieve today. And we want to let you know that we keep on top of all of that. And we make sure that as we present our programming, as we present college counseling in our school, that it fits in the proper development of kids. And what we see ourselves doing is both helping them with the nuts and bolts of the process, helping them understand the context, but also help them think about how to remain healthy during a time of stress. And so what we do is we actually shift some of what people can say as a negative to a positive. So how do we ask our kids, our families, our faculty to focus on a deep love of learning? Because guess what? That really helps kids when they get to college. Focus on helping students recover from setbacks. We all know that actually setbacks, whether that be a paper that didn't go so well, or hopefully not a junior speech that doesn't go so well, or not getting into a particular college or university, that teaching kids how to recover from that is really important.
I think one thing you said is really, if we can go back to, you said helps them when they get to college. and you noticed Darnell didn't say help them get into college. I think that's a big misconception, is that our office only deals with helping kids get into college. Our big concern is not getting kids in or helping them to get in, but seeing them through the process, right? We're really proud of not just the fact that they get into some great schools, but what they do when they get there, right?
Yeah, and I think a big thing too, and I guess I would tell you this if you have a kid who's approaching this age, you want to start thinking of the ways that you can say to your child, I'm proud of you because, and not have that be some external award or validation. And how you think of through all of this, and this is what we talk to our students and families about, the sort of the kind of child that we want them to be and what kind of adult we hope them to grow into. So we talk a lot about our families about keeping college talk in context and modeling good behavior. This is not the be all of every experience at Columbus Academy. It's actually just one part in a much larger story.
Sure, the journey is very, very important.
Yeah.
That's actually the key.
Yeah, the journey. And so this is some of the ways that we talk with kids and families. We tell them to create a balanced list, but really what this more is teaching them is, who am I? How do I reflect on my strengths? How might others read that? What are my options out there? And how willing am I to put myself out there when I apply to colleges and universities? So we use these very good lenses for them to think about those things. And just so you all know, what's so great is it's very individual at Columbus Academy. So you will see that although, we have classes that are, about 110 students, kids go to, it's usually 50 to 60 different colleges. Last year, it was 72. And so they enroll across the country, they go internationally, they look at public schools, at private schools, at small schools, at large schools. It is so much fun to see them unlocking their potential in this. You should also know that at Columbus Academy, we deal with students, I actually have the pleasure of working with students who have GPA ranges from a 2.6 to a 4.6. ACT ranges from a 19 to a 36. We have a wide variety of different students here, and we believe in the possibilities and matches for them at colleges in a whole bunch of different places.
A little bit more about where they go. I think you all have access. I know you all have access to the school profile. It's on our website. So if you ever want to see a list of the colleges, that's easily available. It's on the second page. And I think we actually put several years on our website.
I think there's 4 or 5 years on there.
Yep, so you can peruse that. They're admitted, quite frankly, to some of the best schools in the country. We're really proud of that. But what we're most proud of is that they transfer at a much lower rate. In other words, the fit and the match were extraordinarily on point, right? So nationally, 1/3 of kids transfer. You see it at Columbus Academy, it's actually 10%. We think it's actually less than 10%. We're just putting that at the high estimation. When they go, they stay, they persist, they do well. Nothing makes us happier than when the kids come back at Thanksgiving and tell us all the great things that are going on, or when our college reps visit and tell us, oh my gosh, we just had, like the Notre Dame rep was here recently. Last year's valedictorian was a Columbus Academy graduate. We love hearing stories like that. We know that they're prepared for college. We know about their success stories. And we love sharing those stories with other people, but nothing makes us happier as counselors when they come back.
And you know that the Williams College valedictorian about 7 or 8 years ago was also Columbus Academy.
We'll take it.
Yes,
we'll take it. That's awesome. That's more, for us, that's better than when they get in, is what they do when they get there. We thought we would, just take a moment to say, of course, COVID affected college admissions. It affected the standardized testing world. This may not mean much to you if you're the parent of a 5 or 7-year-old, but this is, again, something we're always on top of. The AP exams went online. We pivoted. I hate the word pivot, but we'll say it. SET and ACT test centers closed like crazy. So we added an extra in-school exam for our kids. It was a huge advantage. We always have an April in-school SAT. During COVID, we added an in-school September SAT so that our seniors who had trouble finding a test had a place to test. Again, we talked about the colleges with test optional. They may keep it for next year, but our guess is that the testing is going to become much more important. What was really extraordinary last year was what COVID did to application numbers. When testing was removed, application numbers went through the roof. we put a few examples up here, and just in our own backyard, you'll see Ohio State had over 63,000 applications. Less than 25 years ago, Ohio State would have considered what we would call something open enrollment, like 90% plus were admitted. Now it's what we would consider to be a very selective in-state flagship university. But just some of these numbers, just you scratch your head and think, how is it possible? And in that environment, we were so pleased with how our kids did last year.
Yeah, and I think that, Jen, just to sort of go off of that a little bit, I mean, like everybody else, we changed a lot during COVID, and it actually made us better. So I think we have a kind of office here that sort of says, okay, what's new? How do we work with this? How is the process changing? And how do we give our students and our families control over some of that? And I think that we thought of things like having kids apply to schools on the early end, making sure that our applications are complete, and we work that into our system so that all kids have some of those advantages.
Right.
Okay, and the font is really small, but we thought we would share with you, this is just a peek. This is from a presentation a slide we actually shared with our board of trustees when we talk about results last May. These are some of the things, if you're looking for numbers, John, these are a couple of things that make people happy. And of course they make us happy. We're so proud of the kids when they graduated last year. On the right, this is a photo. This is a day in May. It's called the last bell. The seniors gather. 3:20 is the last bell. They all gather wearing their college t-shirt of the college they intend to matriculate to next year. It's one of our most fun traditions at Academy. They start with the senior buddy in the beginning of the senior year. They end with the senior bell. And again, these are just some numbers. We're not going to read them off to you, but you'll see that what we really think is important in a year where competition was so fierce, the Columbus Academy experience really mattered. These numbers are in the most competitive admission cycle we've ever witnessed in my 26-year career. It was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. And what I love about Columbus Academy is that, I have found over time here that there's so many avenues for kids to distinguish themselves and to really become their own person, and that the school supports that and helps them draw out those strengths. And I love thinking about the fact that we had social justice warriors and strong athletes and really talented musicians and top service leaders and creative writers and
robotics kids
and a jazz band, all of that. That is something that I really see working very much so in the high school, as we always think about what's best served. So the result font is small for a purpose, because we don't say that that's most important, but it's also something you should know. And the reason it's not important is kids are not simply bumper stickers on a car. We like this because we want you all to see that, think about this in the proper context. Next slide. Let's see. Yeah. So just some little things to mention, so you know a little bit more about what we've talked about. The fact that we look at how we give information, when we give information to students and families, how tightly we keep families on a roadmap, on a path, to ensure that everybody is meeting the milestones that are important.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Along those lines, thank you.
Okay.
Along those lines, you're meeting with the family.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the balance of of the student and the parents. Sometimes those may not. Often we want them aligned. We would love them aligned, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah. So as we've said, our process is child-centered, but what we've realized over time is that parents and kids are on different timelines. So you may be thinking about your child and where they're going to college in 9th grade. I can rest assured they're more thinking about who they're going to the homecoming dance with and when they're going to be able to get their license than they are thinking about so what we have separated out is we have parent programming with coffees and kind of special invitation programs that follow more during the course of their time, meaning early on, they can come to a preview that's really meant for 10th graders and their parents. And then in 10th grade, more things open up. They have individual conferences with us. So we really see parents as partners, but we see the child as the center of this. And Jen came up with this brilliant thing this year.
I
She
don't
said,
even know what it is.
that, well, when you said, make your child the primary
Right.
avenue of communication. So if you as a parent have a question, a college counseling, and you're a senior
Mhm.
parent, send your child to school with that question, because that gives them power in voice in all of
Mhm.
this. Now, we also like to say, we're a little bit like the pediatrician's office. So if you're going to be waking up at 2 a.m. nervous, call us during the day. Make sure you reach out to us. We don't want your child to spike a fever or for you to spike a fever without reaching out to us.
I would add one thing. I worked at another school as a director of college counseling where, slightly more towards the East Coast. And so speaking from two different points of view, and Darnell's worked in another school, I think this is a school where the partnership with parents is great. It's phenomenal, actually. We feel really supported. We love open lines of communication with parents. We never want anybody to be sitting and wondering, do they know this? There are lots of ways that parents can tell us about their kids. Some prefer to do it in person. Great. We have in-person one-on-one meetings with every parent in the junior year, 45 minutes or an hour. We give parents a questionnaire. So if you
A
don't.
brag sheet.
Yeah, brag
Brag
sheet.
sheet.
So if you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to say this, or I want some more time to think about it, you can do that in writing. The constant communication is an important one for us. And then as we dovetail into senior year, we like the kids to take that over to get ready for college, right? But I think parents are as much a part of this process. We feel like it's a three-way partnership with the kid, us, and parents at home. Sometimes guardians, other guardians or other important adults in
Sure.
their life, and sometimes coaches, right? If the child is a recruited athlete, there are lots of adults in this process, and our job is to sort of open up those lines of communication, and we love it.
And that our student to counselor ratio really allows for that. So, whereas we hear about college counselor friends in other places, when they have 180 kids at the door, they can't really take a phone
Right.
call from a parent. But we feel very fortunate at Columbus Academy that our program, the school is really invested in our program.
And we should also distinguish the fact that we are college counselors. So there is a school counselor for social emotional needs. That's Suzanne Ritter, Dr. Ritter. We only deal with college counseling. There are 3 full-time people who do that. That is extraordinary. So unlike perhaps like a Catholic school or a public school where the old term was guidance counselor, now the proper term is school counselor. At our school, we are college counselors, and there is a distinct difference. So this year I'm about to start working with 34 juniors, and to think about that in terms of the national average being 450 to 1 student ratio, when ours is, 35, 36 to 1, that's pretty special.
That's good.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, John, your questions are good. Do you have any more, or should we just keep going? Should we keep going?
Nancy, do we have any questions in the chat?
No, not right now.
Okay, we have a couple more slides, but if you're at home thinking about questions,
Yeah.
just put them in the
Right,
chat.
right.
We're going to get to you in a minute.
Yeah, and so you can see here that, these are all of the things that we think about. We think about standardized testing, we think about technology and our way to reach kids. The Remind app is something big that Jen started this fall, where the kids get a little text of who's coming, college visitors, or
Great.
messages that we might need. We're trying to always think about the ways that we can reach our students where they are, what they're looking at. So we're always thinking about that. We also think one of the things that we love that, again, our numbers allow for is we have really strong partnerships within the school. We meet regularly with the head of school, with the director of the upper school. We're on the academic team, on the child study team, on the curriculum committee team. And we also work closely with athletics. We meet regularly with them. And you'll see things like to have 19 students in last year's class committed to athletics at the collegiate level. That's a very impressive number. We have later this week our first athletic signing for some of our
that's right.
athletes. Yeah. So these are wonderful ways that our offices partner. And the other thing that we think about, I was laughing, we were saying, oh, well, we're really nice with parents in this process. Well, of course they are. They pay the bills for college. So we feel like we teach the students that too, that it's not just I get to go where I want to go. We have some big stakeholders in this process, and they happen to be parents or guardians. And what we do in our office and in our programming is help parents understand the financial aid process, applying for it, the merit aid awards that are available out there. We ask parents and students to have honest conversations about the amount of money that people are willing to pay for college and how that will factor into the college selection process. We think it's really some of our most important work. Kids start to understand the costs of colleges, and we have given family the tools to talk about that in the process. And we are on social media, thanks to the wonderful Jen FitzPatrick. So she runs a Vikings 2 college social media account. And we've had Twitter for a long time, and she's just recently added the Instagram account.
The kids want Instagram. They told us Twitter's for middle-aged people. So parents, we have a lot of parents on Twitter.
Yes.
In 24 hours, we had 100 Instagram followers. That tells you where the kids are right now.
Yeah.
That's funny.
They want the content, and who are we to deny them?
So,
and prospective students and parents are welcome to follow us as well.
That's great. That's great. Good. So Jen, I'll let you finish it out.
So to wrap up a few things, just a reminder of kind of what we're all about. We're about providing guidance and support and advice to the entire family. We talked about that emphasis on the student, but also parents. We want to do as much education in the process as possible. We're also about encouraging kids when they need to be encouraged to take a risk, when they need to be encouraged to pull back. We're about teaching those life balance skills. We're about celebrating all of the acceptances that a child has to a college, from their top choice college to a school that was maybe number 6 on their list, and then all of a sudden becomes number 1 because of a huge merit scholarship award that was offered. We're also really interested in the most important part of this process is helping the students find, you'll often hear this in the process, a fit and a match. And finding good fits and matches early in the process by students being honest with us, parents being honest with us. These are the criteria that are most important to me. And for every child in our senior class, they may start with something different. What's most important is a distance from home, a particular major, being close to a horse barn, playing my sport in college, having the opportunity to play in the jazz band. You name it, we hear it. And our job is to help identify colleges and universities where we think that student will be successful, be challenged, be pushed, learn to grow. And the most important thing I think about when I have a child in my office is, where is this child going to have the college experience that Darnell had, that I had, where we think, oh my goodness, we love our colleges so much. We want every kid in our senior class to find that school where they just come back wearing the sweatshirt, so happy, so proud, so excited about the next stage of their educational journey. But we see our job as a real privilege. We are friends with some of the lower school and kindergarten teachers, and John Warren here, we say John gets them in and we get them out. I think we have the best jobs at the school, along with our colleague John Wagshall. And I guess at this point we're really open to questions. Or
we have one question. We have when do the students first start working with one of you?
So we do group presentations to 9th and 10th graders. And in the 10th grade year, and so everybody has an advisor that's not a college counselor. Students are an advisory to get important information about things related to the educational process. But in the 10th grade year, in March of the 10th grade year, we have a very big college admissions program called Preview to College Counseling. That's for students and parents. And then in April, every sophomore has a 15-minute academic planning meeting where we'll talk about reviewing their transcript. We'll give them individual advice on test prep for them. We'll give them individual advice on when they think they should take. So for instance, Darnell, if she was a 10th grade student, and John, you're gonna be my 10th grade student, we're not going to give the same advice to each of them about when they should start taking an SAT or an ACT. It's really based on past PSAT scores, math placement, lots of other data points that we have. So we like to see students at the end of the 10th grade to really set the tone for the following year. In the 11th grade is really the bulk of the work. In the 11th grade, I'm telling you that I see kids in my counseling list more than I see my own cousins.
Yeah, so that is right. So it really is they get individually signed a counselor in 11th grade, but we're all available for them as they work through this time. But we figured out that it's, again, what Jen talked about, the not wanting to start too early and giving this the right time. You may have also seen that we teach a college counseling class. That so the way we sort of think of this is a little bit almost like a college curriculum. We have big events that are like a lecture hall, large information sharing events. Then we have the smaller meetings of the classes, which would be like a seminar class. And then we have tutorials one-on-one. And we think that that three-pronged approach really works well to kids getting the information they need and the reflection time and understanding it all.
And I would add one thing, when kids are juniors and seniors, they have access to our calendar. They pick an appointment time anytime they want to see us. I see kids before school, during lunch. Darnell and I eat with 3rd and 4th graders so that we're available during the high school lunch to meet with kids who have really busy schedules. I've enjoyed eating with the 4th grade this week. And after school, we're also available. Our job is to meet kids where they are and when they need us.
Well, I also see you two at lots and lots of sporting events.
Yes.
Or games or concerts or.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All of the college counselors in our office, we want to know kids in their space. And so if you only see a kid within the 4 walls of school, it's a real shame, because to see a child whack the heck out of a field hockey ball and score that goal and the elation on their face, or to see a kid, well, we were both at the jazz band performance at Creekside, to see those kids in that special performance was unbelievable. It's one of the best music performances I've seen. Yeah, we had a senior, the graduate come back, but to see these kids in the plays and the musicals and their sporting events, it's awesome. We love it. I mean,
it's great. It's great. And it gets to know other sides of them and helps them see what's special about themselves and to let them know what we see in them. And what we have so much fun doing is writing about the ways that we see those. And when you brought up the play, I remember I felt like one of my best lines in a letter of recommendation was, she told the whole play with her hands. And it's true. Yeah, she did. I mean, like, I was just watching her hand motions and she's
that's terrific.
So we have so much fun. And Jen knows, and John Wagel in our office, they know tons about sports. So I'm like, I need a little help here. So I think that was a goal. But how did that work? And John Arhel's learned recently what the difference between a tight end and a receiver, a wide receiver. I know. So it's great.
Okay.
John, what did we miss? I don't see anything else in the chat, but John has done this with 3 sons, so he knows a little bit about college dancing.
If anyone has any other questions, they're welcome to put them in the chat. But beyond that, we are almost finished here. While you're thinking about those last questions, let me mention that we have next week's topic is it's a little wordy or a little trendy here. STEAM here at Columbus Academy. It's not as disconnected as all that. STEAM sounds like a bit of a trendy piece to me. So, but we will have a couple representatives of folks and of different departments here, and talking about coding and all sorts of good stuff. So we hope you'll join us for that. Also, if you have not come taken a tour at Columbus Academy, we encourage that. Tuesday mornings at 8:30, we have tours of the lower school for what we call Viking visits. Thursday mornings at 8:30, middle and upper school. So if you haven't come out, please join us.
And say hello.
And we'll make sure to make a stop at the college counseling office.
That's great. And I know it's not been a full hour, but we are fast talkers here.
No, 35 minutes.
Okay.
We want to make everybody have a great day. So in any case, thank you very much, Darnell. Thank you very much, Jen, for joining us today.
Okay, great.
That was terrific. And this will be recorded, so feel free to share it with your friends. Bye, and we'll see you on the next Zoom at noon.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks for having us, John.
Thanks.